there, everybody. Floyd and I are here because we thought part of Pride Week Month might be nice to hear kind of what we love about being in the leadership of Kinship, what it means to us, how it's affected our lives, what makes it important to us, because you have to put up with us and our ideas all the time. So we thought we'd let you kind of get to know our thinking and who we are and why we're here. So Floyd, because you're the big boss, I'm going to turn it over to you first.
I'm not so sure about that part of it, but yeah, thanks. Thanks for joining us and watching today. Encountering Kinship early on in my life was really a life-changing, life-saving experience. Kinship became something that was very important to me. It connected me with the church that I loved, the church that I grew up in, and with people who were very similar to me in many ways. So my involvement there was important, and I was working in a company that I was in a leadership role in, and so I was dealing with just the success of the company and working with employees. And so it was kind of a natural thing that I wanted Kinship to succeed, because I felt like we had a mission, we had a goal, we had a message that was important for other people to hear and know about. So just my work with Kinship kind of took that same path as my professional path. And because I did love the church, and even though it was hurting me and hurting the people that I loved, I still wanted the church to get it. And almost 40 years later, the church, more of the people in the church get it, but the church still hasn't gotten it. And so that's what keeps me in this role, is that I feel that I can make a difference for Kinship, for the members of Kinship, and I can make inroads into the church. We've actually made a lot of headway into the church with specific leaders, with pastors, and we've been a lifesaver as an organization for so many people, just to know that it's okay to be gay, and it's okay to keep and hold on to your religious, your faith principles and morals and beliefs, and combining those two is a possible thing. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell, Catherine.
Before you kind of joined us, you were studying to be a pastor, and now I think that you're the pastor of one of the world's larger congregations and spread out and challenged. How do you think being president of Kinship is like pastoring?
It's very similar. I love having my congregation of Kinship members, because I mean it's very diverse and globally international. That part of it is really exciting. But yeah, you get to hear and work, even though it's a large organization, I still get to work with people one-on-one and listen to their stories and tell them, hey, Jesus loves you. What if it's a coming out issue? I can use my own stories and stories that I've heard, that hey, there is life on the other side of coming out. It's super scary, and it's hard to take that first step, but once you have taken that step, you have a network to fall back on. You have friends that will surround you and be with you and support you. And so I'm able to share the good news, what I grew up knowing, that Jesus loves me, as being the good news. And I get to share that with people and say, hey, you can be exactly who you are, whether it's queer, whether it's a good parent, whether it's a good ally, just whatever your particular place in life is, you can be that, and God will love you, and that the sun will come up tomorrow. There may be a cloud in the sky, but but those are things that you can work together with as a community, as a group. And kinship is that community that many of us lost in our local churches when we came out, or when we decided, hey, I'm going to embrace my queerness or whatever it is. Yeah, God is there with you. And so I get to do that as sort of the pastor of the kinship group. And I really enjoy that. So thanks for asking that.
Now I'm going to tell some stories on Floyd. I hadn't thought about this, but he is so dedicated to us. He and I have traveled certainly in 2 continents easily. And I have been, I will wake up sometimes at 2 a.m. thinking I need to get a glass of water or do something. And he's up typing letters to individual members. He's so blessed, committed. And I also appreciate the way you, and so I'm talking to you, even though other people are eavesdropping on us. I so appreciate the way that you do take time for us, and you kind of watch out for those of us that interact with you a lot. And also that you're willing to learn when we throw ideas at you, like, please do the 7-in-1, 7, the appreciations. Please do this, think about this. I really appreciate that you're willing to think about suggestions we make, or things that we do, or what we want to try innovative programs, even though, whoa, it's not so easy on the startup. So I appreciate that. And I wonder, what are the gifts to you of being kind of in that role and dealing with all of us that throw ideas out at you or want to build? What are the gifts to you about that?
Well, thanks. First of all, I wanted to say I'm far from, I was going to say perfect, but that's way overkill. I'm far from being right, even most of the time in my decisions. And if you listen to me, my personal theology, my personal ideas or whatever may not match with everyone in the kinship organization, and that's okay. I don't think that we're a monolith where everyone has to believe the same or think the same. So I enjoy diversity of thought. When you come to me and give me a new idea, first of all, I go, what? We can't do that. Or actually, I say we can do that, but let me give that some thought and see how we can mesh that into what we're currently doing. Kinship's been around for 40 some odd years, and I don't want to be stuck in what we did 40 years ago that worked for that particular demographic. My age is getting older, but I like to think that I'm open to new suggestions and new ways of doing things. It's just that I want to make sure that we do it right and we don't fail or make the organization look bad in doing something that's new and that's obviously going to fail. So what I feel is important for the organization, and what I think I bring to it, I feel like I'm doing a campaign speech here for my office, and I'm not, or for my role, is that I do bring a lot of wisdom and a lot of, we've done that and it didn't work, but let's try it a different way and it can work. That kind of a thing. So I bring the experience of just our history, and saying, I have a vision for the future, and let's use some of the old, let's try some of the new, whether it's AI, GPT chats, or whatever it is for trying to get answers to things. Let's try innovative new things that are working, and mesh them with the old principles that we had, because the principles and the goals that we had, that our forefathers had 45 years ago, are still there. They're still important, but let's think of the new ways of accomplishing those goals. So yeah, that's kind of it in a nutshell there.
I'm going to tell another story on him and his leadership roles. For 6 years, Floyd and I coordinated a project called Building Safe Places for Everyone. And mostly it was in Europe. Mostly we did we invited, we invited division leaders, union leaders, conference leaders, regular pastors, and we had representatives from all of those facets. And many times it was so exciting that I couldn't shut up. I was just so thrilled with the stories and what we were
Mhm.
hearing and the changes we were hearing. And then there was the weekend where almost everyone canceled. And I spent the weekend crying on Floyd's shoulder, literally. We'd have a meeting. I would lean against his check shirt, weep, and say, we're a failure. And he would go, it's okay, Cal. It's okay. We're going to work. Because that's who he is. He really does that. As it turns out, the person that complained all the way through that weekend ended up inviting the whole team of those of us from Kinship to train their pastors in their country.
Mhm.
So all those tears were worth it. But part of what is when we're innovating is we all need to support each other. And Floyd, you just rock in that world. I don't know how you put up with all my sniveling. um, but I think that's also part of it, is just being there on the ground. And I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, yeah. I love challenges like that, and yeah.
So, I mean, we were going to do this to talk about both of us. You may need to walk it into two, but I'm going to tell how I got to these roles, partly because so often when we rainbow people come out, either we come out as being supportive of others, or we get outed. I got outed.
Mhm.
Um, we have disasters, or we have really difficult situations. And I'm one of the local mystics. So I think God really can make new things come out of it. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of my journey to being
Mhm.
in a leadership role, two very different roles. So 20 years ago, an ex of mine decided to out me to every church that I was working with. I was a consultant. I was a C camp meeting speaker. I was somebody who worked with pastors individually. I had this whole niche work in several unions where I was known for being a camp meeting speaker and doing all of these things. And as my ex kind of gradually told everybody that I was on the rainbow continuum, that sounds like Sesame Street. Um, I lost it all in one night. It was just
Mhm.
gone. And I thought, I grieved, because I was working with families, I was working with child sexual abuse. I grieved. And I thought, well, what am I going to do now? And that very year, there was a camp meeting in Vermont where I lived at the time. And I was just there kind of hanging out. And Bob Bouchard, who was the president, it wasn't like they tried to get people to run for offices again. He would wander around and kind of touch us on the shoulder and say, wouldn't you really like to do this?
It's a good way of
And
doing that. Yes.
it worked. So Bob came up to me and said, wouldn't you really like to be the editor of The Connection? And I said, I haven't done anything like that. He says, oh, we'll help you. It's only going out once a quarter, twice a year now. You don't need to worry about it. We'll just do that. So I said, okay, I'll try being the editor of The Connection. Well, I tried it for 13 years. Um, and um, and in that time, from what I was hearing from people in the from hearing from people that wrote to me from The Connection, um, I was getting so many questions and ideas and wanting that Floyd and I came up with the idea of training pastors. Oh no, it was at an EKM in a horse barn in
Mhm.
Auvers-sur-Oise in 2011. And we were there because we were part of Kinship. And I was getting articles for The Connection. And we heard someone ask, why? I need someone to talk to. I would like to have pastors that I can talk to. And so I looked at Frida and Ingrid, who were at the table with me, and I said, you got a place? And they said, oh yeah, we got a place. I said, I can organize it. So we did. We just, out of this lunch in the middle of a retired horse barn, we caught up with this program that became Building Safe Places, which you can
Yeah.
ask us about sometime if you want to. but that's kind of how things happen. So I did both of those projects for 13 years, and then I took a 5-year hiatus. And my life was pretty full. I work a lot of hours. I'm doing work that I love. I was living in Virginia, taking care of my family. And like 2 or 3 years ago, and Floyd and I go to a European Kinship meeting a lot. We're both there a lot. And we were sitting on a bench on a river in Amsterdam, I think. And Floyd said, "Is there something you want to do for kinship?" And I was feeling at loose ends because, oddly enough, I'd had another disaster 6 weeks before. 6 weeks before that camp meeting, my best friend was killed by a reckless driver in a car accident. And I was not in the best shape, and I was at loose ends, and my world was turning over. And Floyd said, "Why don't you do something for kinship?" So I said, "Do you want me to write again?" And he says, "No, I don't think I want you to write again." And so I said, "Okay, we'll think about it." So a little bit after that, Yolanda calls me up, says, "Because of the connection, so many people in kinship. Floyd just became president. We need a vice president. Will you think about who might be a good vice president to work with Floyd?" So I said, "Okay, what are the criteria?" So she gave me the criteria. I thought about it and went, shoot, it's me. I just couldn't think of anyone else other than me. So I wrote to Floyd and I said, "Floyd, I think it's me." And he said, "Oh, let me think about it." So I'm probably the longest lasting higher board member that's never been elected. So you guys can always kick me out when you want to. But had I not been in a place where my life had been cracked open, I wouldn't be here. And I want all of you to think about that, because sometimes it feels like we've lost it all, or we've lost something really important to us. And then these doors open up that are just ever-loving amazing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my journey here. What I love about working for kinship is, first of all, my world is bigger and smaller. Bless the plague, bless Zoom, the good things that came out of having a plague, because I every day am talking to people in Australia, in Europe, in Asia, across the US. That's my norm. I'm always running time zones in my head. So one of the things I love about what we're doing now is the world is small. And the other thing, when I came into this job, I thought I just have to listen a little bit to see what people need, because I didn't know what people needed when they came in to kinship. And what I was hearing is people wanted to talk to each other. They needed to know about the clobber text. They wanted some skills. There were people who wanted to be helpful to making safe places, and they didn't know how. And it's out of those, listening to those questions, that we began the Conversation Plus, which is Tom's Declobbering the Clobber Text, the Gender for Geezers, the Nourishing Safe Communities. All of those came out because there were people that said we're interested in. And we created a place just because we were used to listening, both of us, both Floyd and I, to what people wanted. And we came up with this program called By Request. I forgot the name of it. By Request. And because we wanted to have a way that people could say, yo, we need to talk about this. And as of last month, the last time that we set up a series, 4 out of 5 of them were by request. There were things that people had written to Floyd or written to me and said, we really want to talk about this. So it's so exciting for me to be, first of all, getting to know so many of you. You know, when I look at the list, I'm like, oh my goodness, I have this world that's in Huntsville, Alabama, and Wollongong, Australia, and Berlin, Germany, and across the states. So it's very exciting for me to hear your voices, and that you ask, and that we're working on doing programming that fits what you need.
Exactly.
Did I cover it all?
Yeah, no, that's very good, very good. And I mean, it is very important that, you know, we're here to meet the needs of the people, not to meet our needs. So, you know, people need to let us know what they want to talk about. And that's the whole thing with kinship is being able to share our stories. I mean, people need to be heard, and we're here to listen. All of us are here to listen to each other and to hear these stories. And, you know, for me, that's the most um, frustrating part of the church, is that they won't listen to our stories. They don't want to talk to us. And so kinship strives to be exactly the opposite, and to talk with people. And people are fascinating. I love people. So
So what this means, folks, is you're hearing our stories because we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you want. We love hearing from you. We will organize things according to your time zone. We will do everything but make cookies, because I can't, and I'm not sure Floyd can cook. I've only known him 30 years. I don't even know if you could cook. But what we want is to hear from you, because you rock. You are so valuable to us. We wake up or go to sleep thinking about what can we cook up for you next time. So anyway, thank you for hearing what gives us joy in being part of the people who bring you programming and gifts for kinship.
Exactly. And yeah, thanks for joining us for these few minutes here, and being a part of kinship. That's very important to us, and hopefully we're making a difference, helping to make a difference in your life. And just remember that God loves you unconditionally, just as you are. That's my favorite thing to share with people. So thanks, Catherine.